Welcome to the Black Script Storytellers. My name is Kevin Marable, and today our guest has built a reputation for crafting emotionally charged stories that blend faith, real life challenges, and powerful cultural truths. From his early days in Miami to founding DV Productions, his work has consistently pushed conversations forward in Black theater. Now, with his latest stage play, Standing on Business, a project rooted in healing, accountability, and community impact, Variste steps into a new chapter of storytelling. In this interview, he opens up about his creative journey, what drives his mission, and the messages he hopes audiences will carry long after the curtain falls. We have with us today none other than Donald Variste. Donald, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much for having me. I do appreciate it. I'm honored to be on this platform, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be on your platform today.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. It's truly a pleasure to have you on as well. I'm looking forward to speaking with you as far as um, what it's what it's like being a playwright. How did you get into the space, and everything that you've been able to accomplish within your career thus far. Um, so, Donald, there's a
Yeah.
question that I like to ask everybody at the beginning of every
Okay.
interview. It's a very simple question, but some might find it a little
Okay.
difficult to answer. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, that question is, who is Donald Variste?
Donald Varese, it depends on what aspect of Donald Varese, but I'm a playwright. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm also and I do ministry work. I do things, with the homeless. I work with the youth as well. So it's so many different aspects of me. So it really depends on which part that you're referring to. But Donald Varese, I'm all around. I just anything that I do, I service. That's who I really am. I'm a person who loves to service the community. Also I love to have some type of impact. Because that's really what I feel like my calling is to have some type of impact of whoever that you encounter. They have some type of something to draw from or pull from, or some type of level of inspiration or something. Even if it's something small, you did your job. So that's pretty much who Don Varese really is a person that's to impact, to bring some type of impact.
Absolutely, man. You're a man of the people. You like to give back to your community, give back to the culture. You're a storyteller. You're a father, as you say, and you know it's important to kind of peel back the curtain a little bit and get to
Yeah.
know the person behind the career, person behind,
Yeah.
uh, everything that it is that you do, career wise,
Hmm.
to get to know who you are as a
Yeah.
person, and then on top of
Yeah.
that, kind of see how your road led you here. So I like to ask that
Yes.
question first, just to kind of get to know the person that I'm speaking with, and for the audience to get to know
Absolutely.
the person that they're watching. Um,
Absolutely.
so I would like to ask, at what moment did you know or did you realize that storytelling was your true calling?
Yeah, that's a good question. Everything really started when I was in the fifth grade. That's I had an experience. It was not a good experience at the time. A fifth grader. I'm trying to understand who I am, trying to understand, your identity in fifth grade. I'm a Haitian American. So growing up as a Haitian American in Miami, Florida, life was not easy because that was the era where, a lot of people came against Haitians. It was a lot of stigma against Haitian. Or Haitian, go back to the banana boat or go back to where you come from. And these came from, unfortunately our own, because I never separate black. I look at it black is black. But it was a separation amongst the community of black. And I went to, majority of African American school at the time, and I had an African American teacher in the fifth grade, and she did not like Haitians, and so it was obvious she did not like Haitians, and she used to always tell me, "You will never be anything in life. By the time you're 18, you're probably gonna die. You'll be in prison." Or somebody gonna kill you. So these were the negative words that she always was actually planting to my life. And
Mm.
so I used to be so upset. It was like going to hell. Every time I was going to that classroom, it was like facing the devil himself. And then eventually, idea came where I started to write like my anger, my emotions. So I began to write characters. How would I respond? So I would put her in as a character. I'll put myself as a character, and I would just do the dialogues. I would just be writing dialogues, expressing my emotions, but not understanding that I was actually tapping into my gift. What was in me. I didn't see it like that. I didn't know what a playwright was. I didn't know I was storytelling. I just knew that was something that I use as a resource, as an escape in the classroom. And so
Right.
that's where it started. But then to fast forward, when I discovered that it really was a gift, I was at a church. I was at a church in Orlando, and at this point, I'm like maybe 20 or 21 or something like that. And I noticed that we had a youth ministry. It was a lot of young people that was in their 20s or 18, 17, 16, and every year we never had a actual production, no Christmas production. And I'm like, why is never a Christmas production in this church? I don't understand. I said, you know what, I'm going to write something. So I went to the bishop and I was like, you know what, I noticed that I'm in this church, there's no plays, there's nothing going on, I would love to write something for the youth, so we have something, and he's like, well, if you can do it, just go ahead and write it and let me see it. I said, okay, got it. And I wrote the play in 3 days. I wrote something in 3 days. I didn't know what I was writing as far as the format. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I had a story, right? And so I provided him the script that I had, and he loved it. He was like, wow, you really wrote this? And I was like, yes, I wrote it. And so he was like, this is really good. And he said, you can go ahead and perform it at the church. And so, of course, I had to be a casting director. I didn't know what I was really casting. I had to direct. I don't know how I really was directing, but it's a saying, you got to fake it till you make it, because you're a leader and people got to believe in what you're doing. So even though I was like, whoa, this is my first time doing this, but I had this confidence that I knew what I was doing. So I knew how each character needs to be. I knew the development of the characters, and I knew how I wanted them to be in the house. I started directing different things, and to make a long story short, it was a success. It was a success. The people was laughing. It was so many different emotions. It was young people. People cried, laughed. It was so many different mix of emotion that was going on in the midst of the production. And what really made me know this is what I want to pursue, it was a young girl. She had to been like at least 14 years old. She came to me and she was crying. And I'm like, what's wrong? She was like, you know what? She said she wanted to unalive herself. But because of the character, it was a character that was dealing with that. Like she was dealing with all of the mental things. And I also talks about in the mental thing, like far as, you have a voice that speaks to you. You have a voice that's telling you, no good, go ahead and unalive yourself. Then you have another voice telling you, no, don't listen to that voice. So it's like a battle, like a
Right.
between good and evil of a battle. So I kind of display that in the play. And so eventually, of course, the character did not do that. And so she was able to pull from that character. And she said, I'm so happy that I was able to see this show. Because of this show, I know that my life is worth something. And she just gave me a hug, and not knowing that a lot, that was really my story. At one point in my life, I dealt with that myself. So I would put some of my life in every story that I do. I put a piece of my life into a character. And so I find it ironic that what I was dealing with when I was going through my own mental part of my life is what saved somebody else's life. And so that was a turnaround for me. That was the aha moment for me. And I knew this is my calling. This is something that I need to do, because there's so many people that need it. Because not everybody would probably, you can go to a church, maybe the pastor or whatever, the sermon may not get you or motivate you, but a stage play will. So,
Yes.
or a book will,
Right.
so a stage play is another piece of something to motivate and bring people in as well too.
Right. Not only that, I feel like it also helps um, bring more youth into it. A lot of the
Yes.
youth ministry would tend to pay attention more, especially if their peers
Yeah.
are acting within these plays and doing these performances, and they get a chance, on top of seeing their friends act everything out, they're also hearing the story and hearing the situations that
Yeah.
are at hand, and it brings more of the relatability to the young person, the young mind that maybe might not necessarily want to go to church, but maybe is more into it
Is it?
because they get a chance to see and hear these stories, and kind of maybe in some cases see and hear themselves through these
Yeah.
stories. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
At what age were you when you started, or when did at what age were you when you did this first stage play?
I was like 20, 20, 21.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
So
that's that's many,
so at
many.
that point, I mean, even though you went through what you went through in fifth grade,
Mhm.
and I imagine that you were still dealing with a lot of those issues from fifth grade all the way up until 20, and perhaps even beyond 20.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
but you knew at fifth grade that you wanted to start to tell these stories, and did you know that did did you know somewhere inside that this was a an outlet for you, or a release, something that could help you emotionally, calm down, or get to a point to where you're back comfortable with yourself and not fighting these emotions and everything that the teacher was telling you,
Mhm.
um, and then through that, obviously, I'm assuming that you realize that this would in turn help other people who are going through the same thing.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't think that's my mindset was not on that at that point. I think what happened is that, of course, I went to college my freshman year, and I had a English teacher. She was a journalist, so she actually used to write. She was writing, and she was reading she read something that I wrote, and she told me that, she said, "Donna, your writing style, you're a creative writer." That's what she told me. And my at freshman in college, she told me, "You are a creative writer." That's the first time I ever heard anyone say that. So I never heard anyone say that until my freshman year in college. So when she said that, I was like, "Okay, what do you mean?" She was like, "It's different style of writing, and your style is creative writing. So that means that you are a storyteller, and you can bring things into life in the sense of, telling a story. So you're a creative writer." And I was like, "Oh, no wonder why, I was write my stories." And people will write other things. Like, I was never a person that like to write about, when you're in college, you have to write a paper. You got to do an MLA format. You got to do this and resources. I wasn't really, I did it, but it wasn't something that excited me. But if I was doing something that was a creative writing, or something to say, writing, you do a journal or write a story, I was excited to write about that. I could get that done real fast, with no challenge. So I think that was when I began to know it was something there. And then, of course, when I did the production, knowing that, to be able to see the emotions of how the audience what actually was, being able to really sit back and say, "Oh, they're laughing. Oh, somebody's crying." Or somebody is really like going in on it, like the drama section, and then you see them talking back to the characters and everything. And then that's when I was like, "Whoa, this is bigger than me. This stuff is actually bigger than me." And then I think another thing that was a big major thing for me, they did an altar call. And these are the same young people that's in church, that's been in church, and they would never walk into an altar call. But for some reason, that night when they did an altar call, about 15 or plus young people went and got saved in the altar call. And I think that was really major to me, because it was hard to get the same young people to walk into an altar call. But for some reason that night, because of a stage play, they was able to do an altar call. And so that's when everything started to make sense to me. And then after that as well too, is another situation, because I dealt with with rejection, right? Because dealing with that, "Oh, you nobody, you never gonna be anything," or "You're not good enough." And so now you're dealing with this thing called rejection. So everything started good at the church, of course. But then what happened is that I knew that my ministry or my calling was not just for the four walls of ministry. I knew it was something for outside. I knew it was I had to go out there outside of the four walls. And the bishop had a problem with that. So he gave me an ultimatum. He said, well, God didn't tell you that. God said you need to be in the church. I said, oh, I'm sorry. I respect you and everything, but that ain't what God told me. I was one of those people, I kind of spoke my mind. I
Yeah.
respect you as a leader, but you're not going to tell me what God told me versus, what I know he told me, right? And so
Right.
he felt some type of way about it. And he basically told me to leave his church. Guess what? Another rejection came in. So at this point, I'm like, you know what? Forget the church. I don't have nothing to do with the church anymore. So I left. I probably did not enter a church for another 3 years or so. And I finally met another pastor he was actually one of the 69 boys. I don't know if you remember that group, the rap group.
Yeah, of
And
course. Yeah.
so, yeah, so he a pastor, he a rapper, but he was doing gospel rapping, but he became a pastor. And then I was speaking to him, and he was like, "Well, Don, I'm hearing all your story. Why don't you write about church hurts?" And I was like, "Whoa!" I say that is what I needed to be talking about, and that's when I wrote my first major production.
Wow.
My first major production was birthed off church hurts because of what the first church did to me. I was excited about it. They seemed like they embraced me, but then they rejected me. And so now it allowed me to go out there, and this is when everything went to the next level, or it was bigger. Now I'm in the theater. Now I'm not really doing plays in the church anymore. So now you see me in these high schools, or you see me in theaters. You see me going to Mississippi, Alabama, Atlanta, off that one production, which is Church Hurts. Thousands of people seen the production. Like literally, it don't matter. It could be an atheist. It could be atheists say they love the show, Muslim love the show, Christians, Catholics, whatever your background is, they came to see the show. They thought it was going to be this religious play, but they was like, "Whoa, this play was really good." I thought it was going to be religious, but it was not. It was really, really good. It was a very good show. And then they started asking me questions about certain administration of the church because I'll probably use a bishop. I'll use this. I was like, "What is a bishop? What is this?" And then I started, breaking it down. But they didn't
Mhm.
see it as I was trying to just put the church on them. It was more so,
Right.
it was a story,
Right.
from a perspective of these characters of what they going through, and everybody could relate, even with their own background. Like I said, it doesn't matter what part of their whatever walks of life, they was
Right.
able to be entertained, and they got something out of it, and they left. And yeah, so I would say, yeah, that's when I noticed that this was something bigger than me.
Yeah, no, that's dope, man. That's really dope. So at the point where you left the other church, you met with the new pastor, that the former
Mhm.
rapper of 69 Boys.
Yeah,
He told you, why don't you
yeah,
write? Why don't you tell the story? And you created Church Hurts. From that point
yes.
on, once you wrote Church Hurts, had you had any uh, education on how to write a stage play or write plays at that point, or were you still writing them in the way that you knew how? Um, and has that changed? Has that since changed?
Okay, so how that changed for me is Shelley Garrett. I don't know if you know Shelley Garrett. He's considered the godfather of urban theater. He passed away. He was
Right.
He was big time. He was like the god. They call him the godfather of the urban theater.
Uh-huh.
So Shelley Garrett was the guy with Beauty Shop. If you see the movie Beauty Shop,
Yes.
he's the Beauty
Okay. Yes.
Shop stage play. Yeah, yeah. So he's the guy who did Beauty Shop. And so somehow a connection happened, me promoting church hurts. And then he asked me, he actually reached out to me because he saw what I was doing. He was like, have you have any mentors or whatever? He would like to mentor me. And so I went to his workshop in Atlanta because he was I believe he was living in Atlanta, or he was having a workshop in Atlanta. So I went
Mhm.
to Atlanta and I went to the workshop, and so I had the one-on-one with him. And so from there, that's where I was able to get a lot of the professional, and then also too with Vanessa Lynn. So it was those two people, and Vanessa Lynn had the play called Church Girl. It
Mhm.
toured around with Robert Gibb and all these different people. So these were like people that's been touring. These were people that had a name in the space. And
Right.
so sitting under these people in these I like to call them, I like to say these are legends in my, my book, right? Especially somebody
Absolutely.
who's been here before Tyler Perry and all these different people. So to me, these are like legends, though, the OGs. And so I have so much respect for them because, I'm a student. One thing that I learned is when you're around people that's successful and they've been doing it, it don't matter what you're doing at this point. I'm just here to learn. And that's what I did. I learned and I had my pen and I took notes, and that helped me with my development. It helped me with That's why most people that was following, they see my first show, they can see the growth. They can
Mhm.
see like, wow, like your shows are getting deeper, getting even better because they see the growth. And it's because of me being around people. Of course, I went to other workshops, of course. So I'd spent money on workshops, learning from different people, or just going to different shows in general, not just keeping it in the urban theater. I also go to other plays that's not just African Americans, to just kind of understand like what are they doing as well? How do their structures look like? From the urban versus, what our other counterparts are doing. And so I'm able to learn, from different styles of plays. And I learned so much from that. Of course, I have friends that are actors that are also doing different type of acting. If it's Broadway shows, if it's this type of shows, I've seen so many different type of shows. And that's, it became a hobby for me, right? So I started to just go and support people. It doesn't matter if it was a low budget production from a high level production. I'm there and I'm learning. And so that really helped me out with the skill set of being able to learn when it comes to presentation. That's another thing you have to learn, presentation, because not only that you're a playwright, when you are on a certain level of your playwright and when you're independent, that likes what I like to call it. You become different departments. So now you're the marketing director. You're the marketing director. You have to know how to market. You got to know how to brand your product. You got
Right.
to know. You got to know how to sell tickets. You got to know everything, right? So,
Mhm.
some people, they're just playwrights and they don't grow because they're not learning the different departments. They're
Business.
not learning the business side of everything. Yeah, and that's what I had to learn. I had to learn the business. I had to learn like, what is it that's going to sell? Even titles, simple things as titles. That's something that they teach me. So some people, they may have the best play, but nobody would never pick up a ticket because the title doesn't make sense. The title is not grabbing people's attention. So people are not going to show up to your play. So simple things as making sure the title is grabbing the attention of your audience in the demographic that you're trying to reach. Simple things
Right.
like that. Learning radio, knowing about ads. Now is different now because now you got to learn social media. You got to learn your ads. You got to know your demographics, how to run the ads. So many different things, and then also too, even the development of when it comes to the stage play itself. What are you giving your audience that are different than what the next person is giving? Like, what makes you different? What makes you stand out from the others? And so people are looking at all of that. So that when the next time you have a stage play, people are going to say, "Oh, Donald Variste doing the play. I'm going to his play because it's quality." So it's not about the quantity; it's about the quality. So now you got to worry about the sound. That's another thing. Can't be cheap. You got to spend money on your sound because if the sounding is not good, the entire production is messed up. If
Right.
you lighting is another thing. People think, oh, you just put light. No, the lighting got to make sense with the emotions of the scene. So if you don't have that together, it doesn't bring the audience into the storyline. So it's just so much stuff that I learned. I learned all of that through the investing into. You got to invest in yourself. That's the thing that I would say for
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in today's day and age, especially with playwrights and comedians and
Hmm.
people who have shows that go on the road. um
Yeah,
you're your own walking talking business, you're your own walking talking billboard, your own walking talking marketing team, brand. You have to know all of the ins and outs of your brand and
yeah,
your business, so to speak. So that way when you walk into different markets, you know how to market and you know how to navigate it and be able to get people to attend and show up and show out,
yep,
and that's one of the key things that I feel like a lot of people miss, especially if you are focused more so on the talent side, but you also have to have the business acumen, the business
Yeah.
knowledge, um, you know, everything. So
Mm.
it's really key and instrumental to know all of those aspects, and a lot of that comes with time and experience, and from time to time also having failures and learning from those failures
Oh
and being
yeah.
able to bounce back from those failures, so that way you know what not to do the next
Yeah.
time. Um, have you had or experienced any pitfalls or failures coming up, in your career?
Absolutely. I had a lot of those. One of the ones that I had was when it comes to sis and desist. So I had one, my very for Church Hurts. I had my very first production. I was so excited, and here it is. I get a cease and desist letter from another playwright in the Orlando area. And I'm like, wow. And this person called me into, because she had a radio show. So she called me in to do the radio show. And then what it was is spirit of intimidation. So when when everything is on point, everything that I mentioned, like far as your presentations and everything, and so everything that I was doing was so big. So I was a small production. I don't know what I was 100% doing either, but I knew everything that I learned. So when people seen it, they thinking this is a big production, it's a major production, because I treat it as that. I treated all of my production as I'm on the same level like any touring company that's out there, and I'm going to give you this production, and that's how I've been doing it. And so she got intimidated because she was already in the space, and so she said that I stole her play. I never actually seen her play. I never even met her face to face. So then she sent it to the actual theater place to shut down my production. And so the theater was like, Donald, this is what we got. So we got this. What you gonna do? And he gonna say, I'm act like I didn't see it. That's what the theater said. I'm act like I didn't see it. But what do you want to do? I said, I ripped it into pieces. I said, this is the devil. I came too far. I had spent a lot of money, and we had a line of people. What's so funny about it? She did it the exact same day of the production, so it was a sold out show. Can you imagine your first production is sold out? You have a line of people, so you have to think: are you going to get scared because somebody just served you a cease and desist letter, or they are threatening you that they're going to sue you that you stole their production, or are you going to move forward? So I had to make an executive decision to rip the paper, and I say, I don't know this lady. This lady is I don't know who she is. I never seen her production, so I know I didn't see anything, right? So I moved forward with that. And so, but it didn't stop there. So she sent letters to all of these major pastors in Orlando. So, when you're in the urban space of doing production, the churches are number one demographic. Anybody know that? So
Right.
she knew that. So when I tried to get, the collaboration or to get endorsements from pastors, they all shut down the doors on me. They say, "Oh, you stole a play. We're not going to work with you because you under investigation." I'm like, "What?" So I had no opportunity. So those were downfalls for me. So I had to work extra harder, extra harder. And so then I had to spend unnecessary money. I had to go get a lawyer. I had to get an entertainment lawyer. So now I had to send her a letter, that you're making me lose business. If you continue, then I will sue you for every business that I lose.
Right.
So then they don't stop there. Then somebody else from Orlando, no, Georgia, he turned around and said I stole his title. So now he did a trademark against me. So now I had to get another attorney for that as well too. Eventually, I won that, but it was at least 3 years of fighting with that. And then it was the same title. But one thing that I do learn from what I learned from mentorship is that some people can use the same title. It's just when you see the same title, you have to use a subtitle to separate yourself from the other title. And so my subtitle for Church was "There's no perfect church, but there's one perfect God." So I had to bring that. But I was the first person with that title. It was nobody in the space with a stage play called Church Hurts, because I researched it. I went on YouTube. I did everything. Everybody else came after me with the same title. And so it became a conflict. So people thought I was in Atlanta doing a performance. They're buying tickets. They're like, "Oh, Donald, we're going to your production." I'm like, "What production?" They say, "You ain't you going to be in Atlanta doing a play?" I said, "I'm not doing a play in Atlanta." They say, "Oh, it's somebody with your title." And it's come to find out it's the same person who did the trademark. to do ran and get the trademark, and then it was just a lot. So all of those things were my beginning things that I had to encounter. But then I also had to encounter other things from other playwrights, speaking negatively, or they're creating fake campaign that they're about to do a production, but in reality to make people to split the audience, or they were trying to do a production the day before yours, and then I had to have a strategy. So what I did was with that, because you got to think real fast on your toes in this business. So when this playwright did that, I automatically put social media sensation. So I was the first person to put social media sensation people in my place. So that's when I got Miss Charlene, and I also had Cotton Banks. And then it was a big thing in Orlando, and it was a sold out show. So all of these oppositions, I took it and I made limits with it. I made limits. It is what it is, kind of thing. So, but it wasn't. It was not. It didn't feel good. I'm not gonna lie to you. It didn't feel good. And then you also have people that are stealing from you that you think you could trust. So they took the entire money. So people you think and you looking like, okay, where's the money? They don't have an answer. What I'm Yeah. So now I did a whole production and I don't see the money. And then the entire money gone, and then it was a full house, and all I probably got was $300, and I spent my own hard money on the production. So it was a lot. I'm not gonna lie, it was so much more. And of course, you have other people when they get around promoters, they lie on your name and your reputation because they do the same thing you do. So they want the opportunity, so they lie on you just to get in. So I lost opportunity where I was supposed to do multiple shows and like to get into to New York, Chicago, all those areas. But because I had the wrong person on my team that I thought I can trust, so she lied on my name, and I lost that opportunity with the promoter. That's why you got to be careful. That's why they say you can't bring everybody with you. And I had a big heart. I had a heart, and I always wanted to help people. I want to take people in, and so then I also had to learn that you have to have a very small circle, and that's all of those things I had to learn. Honestly, it was so many ups and downs, but I'm happy for that because that's part of my story.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of us all go through similar situations,
Mhm.
not to the degree of getting the cease and desist and things of that nature. But we've all had the wrong people in our circles, people talking down
Yeah.
on you or trying to conspire against you. um, and typically when those things happen, that means you're obviously you're doing something right. Otherwise they wouldn't be trying to stop you in your tracks. So
Yes.
you definitely got to keep going. um
Hmm.
but yeah, that's unfortunate that a lot of that has happened to you in the process in your journey of getting to where you're at today. Hopefully a
Yeah.
lot of that has subsided and you're not really dealing with a lot of those issues anymore, and now you're in a
Oh
much
no,
better
no,
space.
no, no, no. I'm not. No, no. I'm in a better situation, a better space.
Good.
It's nothing but it's positivity when it comes because I have a core circle and
Mhm.
everybody is positive. If anything is, as you can see, even with the production now, everything is elevated, better space. This was like many moons ago, like 15 or plus years ago. So way much better space right now. So I'm actually happy about that.
Nice, nice. And so let's just fast forward a little bit and come to today, where you are now working on your new venture, which is standing on business. Can you talk a little bit about standing on business and what that is about?
Yeah, standing on business. Standing on business. The inspiration of why I created standing on business is because this story means a lot to me because I had a friend that was in a situation helping another friend,
Mhm.
and she was in a domestic violence, and he happened to be in the midst of it. The husband came to try to beat up the wife and everything. He tried to stop it. He gets shot. So he lost his life in the midst of it, and during that time, it was this big thing on the blog. It was a lot about domestic violence, and it really hit. It really hit hard for me when I lost my friend through that process, and then I began to get the inspiration to write about domestic violence, and so I began to write the storyline. I began to write about domestic violence. This is where standing on business come about, and so that's what it's about. So it's the awareness of domestic violence awareness. No, it's not a play where it's gonna be like, oh my god, it's too deep. No, it's not. It has deep moments, but it's actually has different elements. It has drama, comedy, and it also has the education piece of it, which is like more towards little pieces here and there. So it's a phenomenal show. We performed the show already in Miami. I did a viewing of it just to see what Miami gonna say. That's where I'm originally from, and that was my
Uh,
first production in Miami in many years. And they loved the show. Everybody loved the show, and so now this is me doing the show again. And I decided to say, you know what, it's time for me to elevate my production, and
mhm,
that's what I'm doing. So I'm elevating to where I'm having headliners, such as Juicidor and Pooch Hall in the
yeah.
production. So they have read the script. They had rehearsals. They was laughing. That's why I'm telling you, this is going to be a very funny. It's going to be good. I'm telling you, they love the story, and I know that they're going to execute it, and they're going to exceed my expectation of bringing these characters to life. And it's going to be in Orlando. It's going to be in Orlando on December the 13th. Um, and it's going to be at Edgewater. Edgewater is where it's going to be at. So it's going to be good. It's going to be really, 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 really good.
Okay. So you mentioned Drew Sidora and Pooch Hall. Are
Hmm.
you able to talk a little
Hmm.
bit about each of those characters, who they play, and what who they are in the play?
Sure, sure, absolutely. Oh, sure, absolutely. Okay, so with Drew Sidora, she's playing Monica, and
Mhm.
so with Monica's story, she has three sisters. She has three sisters, and it's this thing called generational curse. So when you see that this person went to this and this person, so the domestic violence, all of them are dealing with some form of level of domestic violence in different forms, even if it's a verbal domestic violence, physical domestic violence. So the mother was going through that. So now all three sisters are going through that. So Drew played one of the sisters, and so she's actually with Reggie. So Pooch played Reggie, and Reggie plays he's an arrogant man. He's arrogant. He also he's a womanizer and everything like that, and so he mentally goes and he's basically a mental abusing Monica, which is Drew. But at the same time, Drew also has secrets of her own as well too. So he thinks that he's ahead of her, but in reality, she's ahead of him. And so without telling the too much of that, so that's what happens. So it becomes a little conflict between the two, and then is a secret that comes out concerning that relationship because they're trying to have a baby. And later on, he found out why he's not having this baby, and so she basically, drop it on him, and so it's pretty good. It's really, really good, and it's just the back and forth and the way it's written, and everything like that.
Right. It sounds good, man. Are you looking to expand this outside of Orlando? I know you said you also did it in Miami. Are you looking to
Mhm.
do it outside of Florida?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I'm just waiting on a promoter that's willing to pick it up and that can get us on the road, honestly. So that's really where everything's at, is having that promoter, somebody that believe in the vision, they can see the vision being bigger than what anybody else would see it, but they can see it bigger. And so it's a good storyline. It is something that many people out there would love. So we're taking that way. So that is what I would love to do, is to do that. The other part of it is, if it doesn't do that, I do want to film it to where we can put it on a digital platform. If it's not something that's physical, then you can just turn the TV on and watch it. So that's another, because we live in this digital era nowadays. But yeah,
Yeah.
but I love live performance more. But of course, you do have some, you do have those that are on the digital that are nice too, as long as you have that perfect production company that's going to film it.
Right, right. I mean, even if you can capture it on single cam just to kind of get the wide
Hmm.
experience. I know there's certain people, certain demographics that still love to watch stage plays. They
Yeah,
can't make it there in person. They would still love to see it.
yeah,
You can always live stream it and all of that stuff as well. So those are other
yeah,
other avenues that you could take,
yeah.
to be able to capture it. But where can people go to purchase tickets? to see this on the 13th?
I'm sure they can go into it's an Eventbrite. So you go to Eventbrite and you basically go to Orlando is the city, and you just put
Mhm.
standing on business. Or you can go directly to my website is www.donaldvariste.com, and my website will also would link you to the Eventbrite link, and that's where you can purchase your tickets at.
Okay. Okay. Now, Donald, I know you're a playwright, but have you ever thought about trying your hand at screenwriting? Are you looking to get into the TV and film space at some point in your career?
I do. I just need somebody that can film, and because there's there's certain resources right that you need. Because I know with film is a different. It's a whole different thing when it
Right.
comes to that. So I just need somebody who's looking for a project, and I actually have a film that's completed for Church Hurts. I kind of name it a little bit different, but I do have it. But it's just having that person, and of course with stand on business, I can always get that formatted to that as well,
Right.
to stream. And that's what I want. So I want to do that. That's my next venture that I definitely want to get into the film, for sure. Because all of my stories, believe it or not, a lot of people always say when they see it on stage, it's like watching the film,
Hmm.
because the way the stories are written is actually written as if it's a film. It's not just your traditional stage play where a lot of laugh like you're just laughing as these characters making it's not like that. It's really
Right.
telling the story from like all the stories are connecting, and people are so in tune with everything, and it's like watching a movie on stage.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, transforming them into film or TV shows, TV
Yeah,
series, even the idea or the premise, and figuring out how you can expand it. You're already creating
yeah,
the IP for all of these different projects, like you said, Church Hurts. Even the first stage play that you wrote that you might still see some success somewhere in there, or and maybe just
yeah,
revamp it a little bit and make it more modern. And then all of the plays that you've done leading up to this one, Standing on Business. All of that can be considered
hmm
as IP and can be turned into
yeah,
whether it's a TV series, a TV movie, or a film that goes to theaters or to a streamer. So
yeah.
I would definitely look at that avenue for sure. And not only that, being that you also like to write, you can also turn those stories into books and publish them.
I have
You
that.
know,
Yeah, you already
okay.
own it. So actually, I just released the book. I didn't promote it because I didn't want to take away from the stage play. I literally I just released the book for Standing on Business. It's out.
Nice.
It's on Amazon. So yeah, everything that you're saying, you want it, like seriously. So the goal is
Yeah.
for me to take all of my plays and to turn them into books. I want to
Mhm.
do the film. It's just that I don't have that. I need that person that film that shoots and everything. That's my next goal as well. But I do have that first book off my play, which is Standing on Business. So it is on Amazon. So for the readers out there, it's not gonna be the same as the play because I didn't want it to be, oh my god, it's the same thing. So I kind of switch it up a little bit, switch
Mhm.
gears a little bit, which is actually entertaining, for book
Right.
readers and stuff like that. Yes, so it's a good read.
Yeah. Not only that, even when you do the stage play within itself and you get the
Mhm.
audience reaction and the audience response, sometimes you can get that feedback can help you
Yeah,
when you look to turn those into books. Maybe there's something
yeah,
that was missing or something that the audience member said, you know what, I was really wishing that so and so did X, Y, and Z, but they
yeah,
didn't really do it. But I loved it no matter what. You can say, oh, maybe I can
yeah,
incorporate that into the book and people might love it
yeah.
even more when I incorporate that into the book. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, no, those are all avenues that you can take business wise to further expand your IP, make your stories that much more appealing when it comes to
Yeah.
presenting them to TV and film producers and studios and things of that nature. And yeah, I was just curious because I know there's a lot of other playwrights who tend to dip their toes into TV and film or
Yeah.
transition and move into that world. And being that you're already on your way, I thought I'd just throw those things out
Yeah, that's
there.
coming
Yeah,
soon. I'm gonna speak that out here. I'm gonna speak it out there, because you know you got to
yes,
speak it, right? So I'm definitely gonna speak it that, because every time I'm watching like a Tubi or I'm watching something, I'm like, hold up, if this can be on
right,
Tubi, I can definitely do this, you know? Because I see so
yeah,
many projects. I'm like, I can do this. I can do this. And I know that it's so many other networks too. I'm looking at Remy. I'm like, oh, Remy got a network too. Okay, I think okay. So every time I'm always looking at these different platforms that's coming out, and I was like, okay, so it's time to get my my products to a
right,
broader audience. You know, so
yes,
that's definitely what I'm gonna do for sure. Mhm.
yeah. We'll talk some more offline. I have some folks that might, I might be able to pair you up with, or at least introduce you to, that could potentially
Okay.
help even in the publishing realm. She owns her own
Yeah.
publishing company, and she produces a lot of the stories that she publishes. So,
Yeah.
um, uh, there's a few avenues that could be taken in that realm, I should say. But yeah, I want to say congratulations on this new stage play, Standing on Business. um I hope everything is, super successful, and you continue to have the success that you have. You already have a built-in audience, a built-in fan base. Just keep growing that. Keep pouring into, your creativity, and things will definitely work itself out when it comes to, transitioning into TV and film, and also, on the author side is, writing novels and books and whatnot. Um, I got one last question to ask, and then we'll wrap it up. The question is, what's next
Okay.
for you after Standing on Business? Do you have anything that's coming up next?
Yes, I do. I have a play. It's called Watch and Pray. It comes out on April the 4th.
Okay.
So I'm working some logistics, but it's not when I say logistics, like far as a person who I want to work with. It's an actress that was on Tyler Perry. So I spoke to
Okay.
her and everything. She read the script. She loved the script. But so yeah, so that's what's happening. So I'm not gonna, put the name out there into everything, on business
Right.
wise. So that's April 4th, and I'm excited about that. It's out of the box for me because it's going more in the supernatural of things. So
Okay.
anybody who knows me, that's a completely different thing, So I'm tapping into conversations that I ain't never seen before on on when it comes to the urban setting of plays. Of course, it might be in other settings, but I have never seen that before. I never seen people talking about supernatural things, of what things look like, because everything's spiritual. So you get to see
Right.
some of that in the play. So it's
Right.
completely out of my element, but I'm bringing it out. That's why it's called Watch and Pray. And trust me, you don't want to miss this Watch and Pray. You don't want to miss this prophet. This prophet is that's all I gotta say. It's going to be the talk. It's definitely going to be the talk about. So that's my next production. Next one that I'm working on right now. Of course, I'm still going to still focus on standing on business, but that's something I'm actually doing as a viewing just to get audience feedback.
Mhm.
That's really what this is about as well.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, Donald, I like to give my guests the final word, whether that be a piece of advice that has been passed down to you, words of encouragement that you like to give out, or a quote that you like to live by. You can say one of the three, or you can say all three. It's up to you.
Sure, sure. I can do all three. So one of the words that I always was living by is that I always put God first. That's just me. Anything that I do, put God first. That's the number one thing. And the second thing is failure is not an option. So it doesn't matter how many failure you face. Just know it's not an option for you to give up. It's not an option to stop. And it's basically you have to perseverance is everything. So when you fall, get right back up, and whatever the experiences that you got during the time that you thought that you failed, learn from those experiences, and do when you do it again, don't do the same thing from the failure experience, but learn from them and get different results. So
Mhm.
that is something that I would honestly would give. is never give up.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love it. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Donald. I truly appreciate your time, you sharing a piece of your journey and your career with me. I love to learn more about the people that I speak to, what paths they
Yeah,
took to get to success, and even where you're at within your success, and
mhm,
where maybe even where you see yourself going. And sometimes the people that I speak to, they might not necessarily see it, but sometimes I can see it. um,
yeah,
but yeah, I truly appreciate your time, and I wish you much success on standing on business, and all of your future projects, your future endeavors. I know you're going to have a long-standing career, and you're just getting started, man.
yeah. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. It's Donald Variste, everybody.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes.